243 years ago, the Second Continental Congress authorized the formation of an army to support the efforts of a fledgling republic. As we celebrate the United States Army's 243rd birthday, we reflect on the courage and sacrifice of our soldiers to bring peace and to guarantee our nation's freedom. Our Army heritage is a tapestry of rich design, deeply hued with the blood of soldiers and embroidered with deeds of bravery, service, duty, honor, love, and sacrifice, which brought our independence into being and preserves it to this day. Today we recall the history of our Army by the symbolic placement of 190 battle streamers on our Army flag. Start of the Army's first birthday, the Revolutionary War began and ended with the Treaty of Versailles in Paris. 16 battle streamers of scarlet and white tell the story of the Army's achievements in the War for Independence from Great Britain. The victory at Yorktown became the cornerstone of our heritage of freedom and served as a bridge between the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. In 1812, on the Army's 37th birthday, our young nation was once again at war with Great Britain. Victories under General Winfield Scott at Chippewa and General Andrew Jackson at New Orleans proved that America's Army could protect the nation from foreign powers. Remembering the War of 1812, the Army added 6 scarlet and white battle streamers. 33 years later, in the Mexican War, names such as Cerro Gordo, Veracruz, and Chapultepec were added to the history of the American Army and added 10 green and white battle streamers to the Army flag. The Civil War between the states began in April of 1861, pitting state against state and brother against brother. In the end, the solidarity of the Union was restored, and the nation took new strength from the memory of those who died. 25 blue and gray battle streamers signify the heroism of our soldiers during the war between the states. In a little more than 100 years as an Army, we fought more than 1,000 battles to tame the Wild West. The efforts of units such as Custer's 7th Cavalry and the Buffalo Soldiers of the 10th Cavalry left an indelible imprint on our Army and added 14 scarlet and black battle streamers to the Army flag. Remember the Maine. That was the rallying cry that followed the sinking of the battleship Maine in 1898 on the Army's 123rd birthday. Our electrified nation moved to fight on 2 fronts over 10,000 miles apart, Puerto Rico and the Philippines. For these campaigns, the Army added 3 battle streamers to her flag and emerged as a world power. 125th birthday, the Boxer Rebellion flared in China, and as a forecast of things to come, our Army fought side by side with soldiers from other nations. For its actions in China, the Army gained 3 yellow and blue battle streamers. In 1899, guerrilla warfare and the commitment of almost 100,000 soldiers were required during the Philippine insurrection. Their valor was rewarded with 11 blue and maroon battle streamers. Closer to home, the border between the United States and Mexico became the arena for bandit raids. General Blackjack Pershing was sent to capture the infamous Pancho Villa and his gang. For its Mexican service, the Army was awarded 1 yellow, blue, and green battle streamer. In our 142nd year, we sent our doughboys over there to fight the war in Europe. In the trenches, the American soldier fought and died in the war to end all wars. To those heroes are dedicated the 13 double rainbow streamers that symbolize their sacrifice in the First World War. After World War I, the United States Army returned to maintaining a small army in peacetime. But on December 7th, 1941, the events at Pearl Harbor led the United States back onto the front lines around the globe. On D-Day, June 6, 1944, the mightiest invasion force in history landed on the beaches of Normandy and ultimately seized victory in Europe. In the Pacific, General MacArthur's campaign, followed by a relentless tightening of the cordon around Japan, brought the war to an end. The Army remembered her heroes of this Second World War by adorning its flag with 38 battle streamers, 21 for the Pacific Theater, 16 for the European, African, Middle Eastern Theater, and 1 for the American Theater. June 25th, 1950, just days after the Army's 175th birthday, the North Korean People's Army crossed the 38th parallel into the free nation of South Korea. Under the flag of the United Nations, American soldiers fought alongside forces sent by other nations to repel the North Korean and Chinese armies. We honor the courage and sacrifice of the soldiers of that war by adding 10 blue and white battle streamers to the Army flag. From our 183rd to our 200th birthdays, Army forces were committed to the fight in Southeast Asia. On this tough jungle battleground, American soldiers served their country in the highest traditions of military service. For the actions of Americans in Vietnam, 17 gold and scarlet campaign streamers were added to the Army flag. From 1965 to 1966, American forces were engaged in Operation Power Pack in the Dominican Republic. 40,000 American soldiers were deployed, mostly from the 82nd Airborne Division. For its actions in the Dominican Republic, 1 green and white streamer was awarded. In our 208th year of service, October of 1983, the Army once again answered the call for freedom as elements of the 75th Ranger Regiment and the 82nd Airborne Division made a daring assault on the island of Grenada. The Army's 169th streamer, Grenada 1983, represents their valor and heroism. In 1989, the Army answered the call, this time to restore democracy to the Republic of Panama and the Panamanian people. For this action, the Army was awarded its 170th streamer. Leading the Allied coalition to a swift and overwhelming victory, Army soldiers supplied the thunder and lightning of Operation Desert Storm. The courage and sacrifice of our Army's helicopters and armored divisions repelled a tyrant from the nation of Kuwait and resulted in the addition of 3 battle streamers to the Army flag. In our 224th year of service, the Army and its NATO allies brought their combined military might to bear on the dictatorship of Serbia. Once again, the Army led the way to bring peace to an unstable region of the world. For its actions in the Balkans, the Army was awarded its 174th and 175th streamers. In our 227th year, the nation responded to the horrific events of September 11, 2001 by leading a coalition to eliminate terrorism and bring freedom back to the Iraqi people. For 7 years of sacrifice and service, we add 1 blue and yellow Global War on Terrorism streamer and 7 scarlet and black Operation Iraqi Freedom streamers to the Army flag. In 2001, we deployed to Afghanistan to root out terrorism and bring justice to those who attacked our country on September 11th. For ongoing actions in support of Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan, we proudly add 5 emerald green and yellow streamers to the Army flag. Our soldiers, past and present, have refused to accept defeat. That commitment to the Army values brings the total number of streamers on our Army flag to 190. Persevering through all adversities has and always will be a cornerstone of the American soldier. Ladies and gentlemen, as they exit the stage, please join us in a round of applause for the soldiers of the 7th